Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise is due to Allah SWT, the Lord of all worlds, who has given us the opportunity to delve into the wisdom of great figures of the past. This audiobook is a compilation of excerpts from the 140 teachings and thoughts of Syekh Siti Jenar, a profound Sufi figure whose reflections center on the relationship between humans and Allah SWT. This audiobook has been prepared by Rusli Weahamat, and I, Sally, as the narrator, will guide you through the deep messages embedded within each chapter. The primary focus of this audiobook revolves around one crucial message. If one places their belief in any unity besides Allah, they will undoubtedly face disappointment. Written in a relaxed and easy-to-understand style, each chapter is designed to lead us back to the essence of Allah's oneness. May this effort bring benefits and serve as a means for us to draw closer to Allah SWT. Happy listening. Chapter 1. The Concept of Unity in Islam. Unity, in its purest form, is the foundation of Islamic belief. It refers to the acknowledgement and acceptance that Allah SWT is the only one worthy of worship, the ultimate creator and sustainer of all existence. This concept, known as Tauhid, is not merely a theological idea, but a complete way of life that shapes every aspect of a believer's thoughts, actions, and intentions. Syekh Siti Jenar often emphasized that understanding unity begins with recognizing that Allah SWT is beyond comparison. He is unique, without equal, and his essence cannot be likened to any of his creations. This realization is crucial for maintaining a clear perspective on who Allah is and why our reliance must be solely upon Him. The essence of unity. In one of his teachings, Syekh Siti Jenar explained, "The essence of unity lies in surrendering the self completely to Allah, acknowledging Him as the ultimate source of all power and wisdom. This means letting go of any belief or attachment to entities, ideas, or objects that we might perceive as independent sources of strength, guidance, or fulfillment. Such attachments lead to distractions, preventing the heart from fully connecting with Allah. Why unity belongs only to Allah. Unity, or oneness, is a divine attribute that belongs exclusively to Allah. Humans, despite their shared characteristics, are diverse and limited in their capacities. The oneness of Allah, on the other hand, signifies His infinite and indivisible nature. It is He who created the heavens and the earth, controls the universe, and provides sustenance to all living beings. As stated in the Quran, say, He is Allah, who is one, Allah, the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor is born, nor is there to Him any equivalent. Surah Al-Ikhlas, 112:1-4. When we recognize this truth, we understand that nothing else in existence can rival Allah's unity. No idol, ideology, or human construct can claim the same perfection and authority. Practical implications of understanding. Unity. Belief in Allah's unity transforms how we live our lives. It inspires humility, gratitude, and a sense of purpose. By acknowledging that only Allah holds ultimate power, we 1. Free ourselves from fear of worldly entities or individuals. 2. Focus on seeking Allah's pleasure instead of chasing fleeting validations. 3. Strengthen our trust in Allah during times of hardship, knowing that He alone can provide solutions. Reflection point. Syekh Siti Jenar taught that to truly embrace unity, we must reflect deeply on our daily practices. Ask yourself, do I rely more on worldly means than on Allah's decree? Are my prayers and supplications sincere, or are they merely routines? Do I see the hand of Allah in every blessing and trial I encounter? By contemplating these questions, we begin to align our hearts with the principle of Tauhid. In conclusion, understanding unity in Islam is not just about acknowledging Allah's existence, but about submitting entirely to His will. It is the foundation upon which all other beliefs and practices are built. As we move forward in this audiobook, let us remember that unity with Allah is not about merging with Him, but about recognizing His singularity and maintaining our devotion to Him alone. Let us now proceed to the next chapter, where we explore the dangers of placing belief in unity other than Allah. Chapter 2. The danger of believing in unity other than Allah. Believing in any unity or source of power other than Allah is a path fraught with inevitable disappointment. Syekh Siti Jenar warned against such misdirected beliefs as they distance the heart from Allah and lead to spiritual failure. The nature of misplaced belief. Humans often seek security, fulfillment, or solutions in things that appear tangible: wealth, relationships, social status, or even other people. While these may provide temporary relief, they cannot offer the enduring peace and satisfaction that only Allah can provide. Misplaced belief, Syekh Siti Jenar taught, arises when we 1. Rely excessively on material possessions. 2. Idolize individuals, whether leaders, scholars, or loved ones. 3. Place complete trust in worldly systems or ideologies. In his teachings, Syekh Siti Jenar reminded us, those who depend on worldly entities will be abandoned by them, for all things return to Allah. Seek only the Creator, not His creations. The consequences of misplaced belief. When we place our trust in unity other than Allah, we risk 1. Emotional fragility. Anything apart from Allah is impermanent. Loss of wealth, betrayal, or failure in worldly pursuits can shatter a person emotionally and spiritually. 2. Spiritual misguidance. Focusing on creations rather than the Creator blinds us to the truth of Allah's omnipotence. 3. Increased discontent. Worldly dependencies breed insatiable desires, leaving the heart restless and unfulfilled. The Quran highlights this danger in Surah Al-Baqarah 2.1-65. Yet there are men who take for worship others besides Allah, as equal with Allah. They love them as they should love Allah, but those of faith are overflowing in their love for Allah. The deception of false unity. Syekh Siti Jenar emphasized that false unity often disguises itself in appealing forms. For example, wealth, seen as a source of power, but ultimately perishable. Fame, misleadingly viewed as a means of immortality, yet fleeting and hollow. Relationships, valued for emotional support, but vulnerable to change and dissolution. In truth, these forms of unity are unreliable. They cannot bear the weight of our hopes and expectations. Only Allah, the Eternal, is unchanging and capable of fulfilling every need. The path to avoid disappointment. To avoid the pitfall of believing in false unity, Syekh Siti Jenar advised: 1. Strengthen Tauhid. Continuously remind yourself that Allah is the sole provider, protector, and sustainer. 2. Seek knowledge. Study Islamic teachings to differentiate between truth and illusion. 3. Cultivate gratitude. Recognize that every blessing is a gift from Allah and not from human effort alone. 4. Pray for guidance. Ask Allah to keep your heart steadfast in His path. Reflection. Point Syekh Siti Jenar posed a profound question to his followers. When the world betrays you, who will you turn to, if not Allah? This question invites us to reflect on the fragility of worldly attachments and the necessity of placing our faith solely in Allah. Conclusion. Believing in unity. Other than Allah is a futile endeavor. It leads to disappointment, as everything in creation is finite and dependent. By turning to Allah alone, we align ourselves with the ultimate source of peace and power. In the next chapter, we will delve deeper into the concept of Tauhid and explore how it serves as the foundation for a meaningful life. Let us continue this journey of rediscovering Allah's oneness and strengthening our connection with Him. Chapter 3. Tauhid as the foundation of life. Tauhid, or the oneness of Allah, is the cornerstone of a meaningful and purposeful life. Syekh Siti Jenar emphasized that without Tauhid, life becomes a series of disconnected pursuits, lacking coherence and direction. Tauhid aligns the heart, mind, and soul, ensuring that all actions and intentions are directed solely toward Allah SWT. What is Tauhid? Tauhid is the belief in the absolute oneness of Allah. It is the recognition that 1. Allah is the only creator and sustainer of the universe. 2. He alone deserves worship. 3. All attributes of perfection belong to Him. In Syekh Siti Jenar's teachings, Tauhid is not just a theological concept, but a lived reality that governs every aspect of life. He stated, "When you affirm the oneness of Allah, you liberate yourself from the chains of illusion and attachment to creation. Tauhid and Purpose Tauhid provides a clear purpose, to worship and serve Allah." The Quran affirms this in Surah Ad-Dhariyat 51:56. "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me." This divine purpose helps us. 1. Prioritize our actions. Every decision is made with Allah in mind. 2. Seek true fulfillment. By aligning with Allah's will, we find peace and contentment. 3. Avoid distractions. Material gains, social status, and worldly desires lose their grip on our hearts. Living Tauhid in daily life. To make Tauhid the foundation of life, Syekh Siti Jenar outlined practical steps. 1. Daily worship. Establish prayer, fasting, and remembrance of Allah as central to your routine. 2. Gratitude. Acknowledge every blessing as a gift from Allah, fostering humility and reliance on Him. 3. Charity and service. Serve others for the sake of Allah, reflecting His mercy and compassion. 4. Avoid idolatry. This includes not just physical idols, but also the idolization of wealth, power, and ego. The impact of Tauhid living with Tauhid transforms the individual and society. 1. Inner peace. Trusting Allah's wisdom eliminates anxiety and fear. 2. Unity. When communities are built on Tauhid, they transcend divisions of race, nationality, and class. 3. Accountability. Tauhid instills a sense of responsibility, knowing that Allah watches over every action. Syekh Siti Jenar described Tauhid as the light that illuminates the path of life. He warned that neglecting this light leads to spiritual darkness, confusion, and despair. Challenges to Tauhid. In today's world, living with Tauhid is not without challenges. Materialism, secularism, and the relentless pursuit of personal success often distract us from our ultimate purpose. Syekh Siti Jenar reminded his followers to stay vigilant and renew their faith constantly, saying, "The heart that forgets Allah is like a well without water, empty and lifeless." Reflection. Point. Reflect on your daily actions. Are they guided by the principles of Tauhid? How often do you pause to remind yourself that Allah is the ultimate goal of your endeavors? Conclusion. Tauhid is not merely an abstract belief. It is the foundation upon which a meaningful life is built. By internalizing and practicing Tauhid, we fulfill our purpose as Allah's servants and gain clarity, peace, and strength. In the next chapter, we will explore seeking refuge only in Allah, understanding why He is the ultimate source of security and solace in life's trials. Let us continue this journey towards spiritual enlightenment and divine connection. Chapter 4. Seeking Refuge Only in Allah. The concept of seeking refuge, or isti'adha, is deeply rooted in the teachings of Islam. Syekh Siti Jenar emphasized that true refuge and security can only be found in Allah SWT. This chapter explores why relying solely on Allah is essential for spiritual and emotional well-being. The nature of refuge in Islam. To seek refuge means to turn to someone or something for protection, safety, or comfort. In Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas, Allah commands us to seek refuge in Him from all forms of evil. Say, "I seek refuge in the Lord of Daybreak." Surah Al-Falaq 113.1. Say, "I seek refuge in the Lord of Mankind." Surah An-Nas 114.1. These verses highlight that Allah is the ultimate source of protection, and no power or entity can shield us except by His will. Why Allah alone? Syekh Siti Jenar taught that placing trust in worldly things, be it wealth, power, or people, leads to inevitable disappointment. Only Allah possesses the attributes that make him the ultimate refuge. 1. Omnipotence. Allah is all-powerful and can protect against any harm. 2. Omniscience. Allah is all-knowing and understands every struggle and fear. 3. Mercy. Allah's mercy encompasses everything, offering solace and hope. He often reminded his followers, "When you place your trust in creation, you are entrusting yourself to the fragile. When you place your trust in Allah, you are entrusting yourself to the eternal." Practical steps to seek refuge in Allah. 1. Recite His names and attributes. Call upon Allah using His beautiful names such as Al-Wakil, the trustee, Al-Hafiz, the preserver, and Al-Mu'min, the giver of security. 2. Prayers and supplications. Regularly recite supplications like A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan ir-rajim. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. 3. Turn to the Quran. The Quran is a source of protection and guidance. Reciting it brings tranquility and divine protection. 4. Surrender completely. Accept that only Allah controls the outcome of every situation and surrender to His will, and the peace of relying on Allah. When we seek refuge in Allah, we find peace amidst chaos. The trials and tribulations of life no longer overwhelm us because we know that Allah's protection is sufficient. As Syekh Siti Jenar eloquently put it, "The heart that finds Allah as its refuge is a fortress that no storm can penetrate." Worldly refuge, a false sense of security. Many people mistakenly turn to wealth, status, or other human beings for refuge. These sources may provide temporary comfort, but they are limited and flawed. Wealth can diminish, people can falter, and circumstances can change. Allah, however, remains constant and unchanging. Syekh Siti Jenar warned against this misplaced reliance, saying, "Do not seek the shade of a tree that withers. Instead, seek the shelter of the one who never fades." Reflection point. Ask yourself, when faced with fear, uncertainty, or hardship, who or what do you turn to first? Is it Allah, or is it something ephemeral? The power of faith in Allah's refuge. Believing in Allah's protection strengthens our faith and reduces our fears. The Quran reassures us, "And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him." Surah At-Talaq, 65, Part 3. This verse encapsulates the essence of seeking refuge in Allah: total reliance and unwavering trust. Conclusion. Seeking refuge only in Allah is an act of faith and submission. It is a reminder of our dependency on Him and His absolute authority over all matters. By turning to Allah in times of need, we secure not just His protection, but also His infinite mercy and guidance. In the next chapter, we will delve into how the world serves as a test of Tauhid, challenging our faith and devotion to Allah SWT. Stay with us as we continue this spiritual journey toward understanding and connection with the divine. Chapter 5. The World as a Test of Tauhid. The world, in its beauty and complexity, is not just a place for us to reside temporarily, but also a testing ground for our belief in Allah's oneness. Syekh Siti Jenar often referred to life as a stage where the true essence of Tauhid, the oneness of Allah, is constantly tested. This chapter explores how the trials of life challenge our faith and how they can strengthen our bond with Allah SWT. Understanding the world as a test. Allah SWT has explicitly mentioned in the Quran that the world is a test for humanity. And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give good tidings to the patient. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-155. These tests are not meant to break us, but to evaluate the strength of our faith and reliance on Allah. Syekh Siti Jenar explained that every situation in life, whether joyful or sorrowful, serves as a reminder to turn back to Allah. Common tests of Tauhid. 1. Wealth and poverty. Wealth can make one arrogant and forgetful of Allah, while poverty can lead to despair. Both are tests to measure gratitude and patience. Syekh Siti Jenar taught, "Wealth is not the source of security. Rather, it is a tool to test whether you will rely on it or on Allah, the provider." 2. Health and illness. Health is often taken for granted, while illness reminds us of our vulnerability. These tests challenge us to remain steadfast in worship and remembrance of Allah. 3. Relationships and loneliness. People in our lives may bring joy or sorrow. Syekh Siti Jenar emphasized that reliance on human relationships over Allah often leads to disappointment. 4. Success and failure. Success can breed pride, and failure can lead to hopelessness. Both are tests to see if we remain humble and reliant on Allah in all circumstances. The purpose of trials. Syekh Siti Jenar viewed trials as opportunities for growth and self-reflection. He said, "Trials are the brushstrokes of the divine artist, painting your soul with resilience and faith." The ultimate goal of these tests is to purify our hearts from attachment to worldly matters, strengthen our understanding and practice of Tauhid, prepare us for the eternal life in the hereafter. How to face life's tests with Tauhid. 1. Patience and perseverance. Accept that trials are part of Allah's plan and trust in His wisdom. Indeed, Allah is with the patient. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:153. 2. Gratitude in all circumstances. Whether in ease or hardship, maintain gratitude. Syekh Siti Jenar taught, "The thankful heart sees trials as blessings, for they bring one closer to Allah." 3. Seek knowledge and guidance. Understanding the purpose of trials helps us respond with wisdom and faith. The Quran and Hadith provide numerous examples of how prophets faced immense challenges with unwavering Tauhid. 4. Dua and istighfar. Constantly turn to Allah in supplication, asking for guidance, strength, and forgiveness. 5. Tawakkul, reliance on Allah. Place. Full trust in Allah's plan, knowing that He is the best disposer of affairs. The reward of passing the test. Allah SWT promises immense rewards for those who endure trials with patience and faith. Indeed, the patient will be given their reward without account. Surah Az-Zumar 39:10. Syekh Siti Jenar highlighted that life's tests are temporary, but the rewards in the hereafter are eternal. He often reminded his followers, "The struggles of this world are like waves. They will pass, but the ocean of Allah's mercy is infinite." Reflection point. When faced with trials, do we view them as punishments or as opportunities to strengthen our Tauhid? Reflect on how you can turn every challenge into a step closer to Allah. Conclusion. The world is a test, but it is also a blessing for those who view it through the lens of faith. Trials remind us of our dependence on Allah and draw us closer to Him. By embracing the tests of life with patience and gratitude, we reaffirm our belief in Allah's oneness and strengthen our connection to Him. In the next chapter, we will explore how realizing Allah's oneness is the key to achieving true happiness in life. Let us continue this journey of reflection and self-discovery. Chapter 6. True Happiness Through the Oneness of Allah. Happiness is a universal pursuit, yet many seek it in fleeting worldly pleasures, wealth, power, and relationships, only to find themselves unfulfilled. Syekh Siti Jenar taught that true happiness lies in realizing and embracing the oneness of Allah, Tauhid. This chapter explores how the awareness of Allah's oneness brings inner peace, purpose, and contentment, transcending the ephemeral joys of the world. Defining true happiness. In the teachings of Syekh Siti Jenar, happiness is not merely a state of emotional pleasure, but a profound spiritual condition rooted in closeness to Allah SWT. He described it as the soul's serenity in recognizing its Creator and aligning its will with His divine plan. This form of happiness is eternal, immune to the fluctuations of worldly life, and deeply connected to Tauhid, The illusion of worldly happiness. Syekh Siti Jenar warned against the deception of temporary pleasures. Wealth, status, and relationships can offer comfort, but they are not reliable sources of lasting happiness. He taught, "The heart that seeks satisfaction in creation will always be restless, for only the Creator can fill its void." Modern distractions such as materialism and the pursuit of fame often lead individuals further from Allah, creating a cycle of dissatisfaction and longing. How Tauhid brings true happiness. 1. Knowing Allah as the sole source of contentment. Recognizing Allah as the source of all blessings instills gratitude, which in turn nurtures contentment. And whoever is grateful, indeed, he is grateful for himself. Surah Luqman 31:12. Syekh Siti Jenar emphasized, "When the heart is anchored in Allah, it no longer fears loss nor desires gain from the world." 2. Living with purpose. Tauhid provides a clear direction in life, guiding individuals to act with sincerity and for the sake of Allah alone. This sense of purpose eliminates confusion and regret. 3. Detachment from worldly dependencies. By placing reliance solely on Allah, one becomes less affected by worldly ups and downs. Syekh Siti Jenar advised, "Detach from the impermanent and cling to the eternal." 4. Peace in submission. Submission to Allah's will, Islam, alleviates the burden of trying to control every aspect of life. Trusting Allah's wisdom brings tranquility to the heart. Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah, hearts are assured. Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:28. 5. Freedom from envy and greed. A heart that recognizes Allah's oneness is free from jealousy and greed, as it understands that all provisions come from Him. Practical steps to achieve happiness. Through Tauhid. 1. Deepen your knowledge of Allah. Study His names and attributes, Asma'ul Husna, to develop a personal connection with Him. 2. Consistent worship. Engage in acts of worship such as prayer, dhikr, and Quran recitation to keep the heart aligned with Allah. 3. Gratitude as a daily practice. Reflect on the blessings of Allah and express gratitude regularly, even for the smallest things. 4. Charity and helping others. Serving others for the sake of Allah brings joy and purifies the soul. The example of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is like a seed of grain. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:261. 5. Detach from excessive materialism. Limit attachment to material possessions and focus on spiritual growth. 6. Patience in trials. View challenges as opportunities to grow closer to Allah and strengthen your reliance on Him. Reflection point. Ask yourself, is my happiness rooted in things that can fade away or in the eternal truth of Allah's oneness? How can I reorient my life to prioritize my relationship with Allah? Conclusion. Syekh Siti Jenar's teachings remind us that true happiness cannot be found in the impermanent world, but in the eternal connection with Allah. By embracing Tauhid and aligning our hearts with Allah's oneness, we unlock a wellspring of joy that transcends worldly trials and tribulations. In the next chapter, we will delve into how shirk, associating partners with Allah, and false notions of unity can lead us away from this path of true happiness. Stay with us as we continue this journey of enlightenment and spiritual growth. Chapter 7. Avoiding Shirk and False Unity. Syekh Siti Jenar consistently warned against the dangers of shirk, associating partners with Allah, and false notions of unity. He emphasized that these practices not only lead to spiritual disappointment, but also hinder our relationship with the Creator. This chapter explores the subtle forms of shirk and how modern interpretations of unity can deviate from true Tauhid. Understanding shirk is not limited to idol worship. It encompasses any act or belief that places something or someone on a level equal to or above Allah SWT. Syekh Siti Jenar described shirk as a veil that blinds the heart from seeing Allah's absolute sovereignty. Types of shirk include 1. Shirk jali, obvious. Shirk, openly worshipping other deities or idols. 2. Shirk khafi, hidden shirk, placing reliance on worldly entities or seeking approval from creation over the Creator. Modern manifestations of shirk. 1. Over-reliance on material. Wealth. Many people subconsciously equate success and security with wealth. While wealth is a blessing, believing it to be the ultimate source of happiness or security constitutes shirk. 2. Excessive attachment to people, idolizing leaders, celebrities, or loved ones to the extent that their words outweigh divine guidance is a form of hidden shirk. 3. Believing in supernatural forces. Consulting astrologers, relying on charms, or believing in superstitions can divert faith from Allah. 4. Self-glorification. Thinking one's abilities or achievements are independent of Allah's will is a dangerous form of arrogance and hidden shirk. False unity in modern life. The concept of unity is often used in ways that deviate from Islamic teachings. Unity that disregards Allah's sovereignty or encourages compromise on Tauhid is not true unity. Syekh Siti Jenar taught, "Unity without submission to Allah is like a rope of sand. It appears strong but falls apart under pressure." Examples of false unity. 1. Uniting for worldly gains. Joining forces for economic or political power without prioritizing faith leads to moral decay. 2. Unity in sin collaboration in actions that contradict Islamic principles, such as corruption or exploitation, is detrimental. 3. Compromising faith for popularity. Diluting Islamic teachings to gain social acceptance undermines the essence of Tauhid. How to avoid shirk and false unity. 1. Strengthen your knowledge of Tauhid. Continuously seek knowledge about Allah's attributes and maintain a firm belief in His oneness. 2. Evaluate your intentions. Before making decisions, ask yourself whether your actions align with Allah's commands or are influenced by worldly desires. 3. Trust in Allah's plan. Let go of dependencies on material resources or human intervention by trusting Allah as the ultimate provider and protector. 4. Prioritize worship. Engage in regular prayer, dhikr, and Quranic recitation to keep your heart focused on Allah. 5. Seek righteous companionship. Surround yourself with individuals who encourage you to remain steadfast in your faith and avoid compromise. 6. Reject all forms of idolatry. Be vigilant about cultural practices or ideologies that contradict Tauhid. Reflection point Syekh Siti Jenar asked us to consider, have we unknowingly placed our trust in something other than Allah? Are our relationships and alliances rooted in faith, or are they driven by personal gain? Conclusion. Shirk and false unity are subtle traps that can derail our spiritual journey. By continuously returning to the essence of Tauhid and aligning our actions with Allah's guidance, we can avoid these pitfalls. Syekh Siti Jenar's teachings remind us that unity without Allah is hollow, but unity with Allah at its core is unshakable. In the next chapter, we will explore how love for Allah leads to a tranquil heart and becomes a source of enduring peace. Let us continue this journey of self-reflection and spiritual growth. Chapter 8. A Tranquil Heart Through Love for Allah. The pursuit of peace and tranquility is a universal human desire. Syekh Siti Jenar believed that true peace can only be found in the love for Allah SWT. This chapter explores how loving Allah purifies the heart, frees it from worldly anxieties, and brings a profound sense of serenity. The nature of divine love. Syekh Siti Jenar described love for Allah as the purest and highest form of love. He said, "The heart that loves Allah is like a garden in perpetual bloom, untouched by the seasons of life." Loving Allah involves 1. Acknowledging His oneness. Recognizing that Allah is the ultimate source of all blessings and the only one worthy of worship. 2. striving to please Him, living a life that aligns with His commands, and refraining from actions that displease Him. 3. Finding joy in worship, experiencing contentment in prayer, dhikr, and acts of devotion. The effects of loving Allah. 1. Inner peace. A heart connected to Allah is unshaken by external events. Whether in times of joy or adversity, the believer finds solace in knowing that everything is part of Allah's divine plan. 2. Freedom from attachment. Love for Allah liberates the soul from excessive attachment to worldly desires, material possessions, and fleeting relationships. 3. A source of strength. In moments of hardship, the love for Allah becomes a source of resilience, reminding the believer of His mercy and wisdom. 4. Guidance and clarity. Loving. Allah opens the heart to His guidance, making it easier to distinguish between right and wrong. Cultivating love for Allah. 1. Reflect on His blessings. Take time to reflect on the countless blessings Allah has bestowed upon you. Gratitude is the seed from which love grows. 2. Learn about His names and attributes. Study Allah's names, Asma'ul Husna, and reflect on their meanings. Understanding His mercy, compassion, and power deepens your connection with Him. 3. Engage in dhikr and dua. Constant remembrance of Allah, dhikr, keeps the heart focused and connected to Him. Supplication, dua, strengthens your relationship by acknowledging your dependence on Him. 4. Prioritize acts of worship. Salah, fasting, and charity are not merely obligations but opportunities to express love and gratitude to Allah. 5. Spend time with the Quran. The Quran is Allah's love letter to humanity. Reading, understanding, and implementing its teachings nourishes the soul and deepens your bond with Him. Obstacles to loving Allah. Neglecting worship. When acts of worship become routine rather than heartfelt, the connection to Allah weakens. 2. Overindulgence in worldly pleasures. Excessive focus on material success and desires can cloud the heart from experiencing divine love. 3. Harboring negative traits. Arrogance, envy, and hatred act as barriers between the heart and Allah. Purifying the heart from these traits is essential. Reflection. Point Syekh Siti Jenar encouraged self-reflection with questions like, how often do I express my love for Allah in my actions? Do I prioritize my relationship with Allah over fleeting worldly attachments? Conclusion. True tranquility lies in a heart that loves Allah unconditionally. As Syekh Siti Jenar stated, the heart that beats with love for Allah is the heart that knows no despair. By cultivating this love, we align ourselves with our ultimate purpose and draw closer to the essence of Allah's oneness. In the next chapter, we will explore how reliance, tawakkul on Allah, strengthens this bond and brings further peace to the believer's life. Let us continue this journey with open hearts and unwavering faith. Chapter 9. Tawakkul. Complete reliance on Allah. Tawakkul, or reliance on Allah, is a cornerstone of faith that Syekh Siti Jenar emphasized in his teachings. It reflects a deep trust in Allah's wisdom, power, and mercy, acknowledging that He alone governs all aspects of existence. This chapter explores the essence of tawakkul and how it can transform a believer's approach to life. The essence of tawakkul. Syekh Siti Jenar explained tawakkul as the complete surrender of one's heart to Allah, while continuing to put in the necessary effort. He said, tawakkul does not mean abandoning effort, but trusting Allah to guide the outcome after giving your best. Tawakkul is built on two key elements. 1. Effort, ikhtiyar. A believer is required to strive and work towards their goals. Relying on Allah does not mean neglecting one's responsibilities or abandoning hard work. 2. Trust in Allah, tawakkul. After doing one's part, the heart submits fully to Allah, trusting that whatever happens is for the best, as decreed by Him. The benefits of tawakkul. Freedom from worry. When a believer practices tawakkul, they are freed from the anxieties of outcomes. They understand that success and failure are part of Allah's divine wisdom. 2. Strength in adversity. Life's trials become bearable when one trusts that Allah's plan always serves a greater purpose. Tawakkul provides inner strength during hardships. 3. Contentment. A heart that relies on Allah is content, knowing that His provision is sufficient and perfect. 4. A closer relationship with Allah Tawakkul deepens one's connection with Allah, as it is an expression of faith and dependence on Him. Practical steps to develop Tawakkul. 1. Strengthen your faith. Regular acts of worship, such as salah, fasting, and dhikr, reinforce one's reliance on Allah. 2. Remember Allah's names and attributes. Reflect on Allah's names, such as Al-Wakil, the trustee, Ar-Razak, the provider, and Al-Hakim, the wise, to build trust in His care. 3. Let go of excessive control. Understand that not everything is within human control. Accepting this reality helps in practicing tawakkul. 4. Seek knowledge. Learn about the concept of tawakkul from the Quran and Hadith. Knowledge strengthens belief and trust in Allah. 5. Make dua, supplicate to Allah, asking for strength to rely on Him fully, as Prophet Muhammad ﷺ often did. O Allah, I ask You for unwavering reliance upon You and a pure heart that trusts in Your decree. The balance between effort and tawakkul. Syekh Siti Jenar warned against two extremes: over-reliance on effort, believing that success is solely due to one's actions without recognizing Allah's role; neglect of effort, claiming reliance on Allah while failing to take necessary actions. He taught, "The bird does not remain in its nest waiting for food. It flies out every morning in search of sustenance while trusting that Allah will provide." Tawakkul in everyday life. 1. In work and livelihood. Put in your best effort at work, then trust that Allah will provide what is meant for you. 2. In relationships, build and nurture relationships, but rely on Allah to maintain harmony and love. 3. In facing challenges. When facing difficulties, remind yourself that Allah's plan is always for your ultimate benefit, even if it is not immediately apparent. Reflection point. Syekh Siti Jenar encouraged self-inquiry. Do I truly trust Allah, or do I rely solely on my own efforts? How can I align my actions and thoughts to reflect complete reliance on Him? Conclusion. Tawakkul is not just a concept, but a practice that transforms the believer's life. It brings peace, strengthens faith, and aligns the soul with Allah's divine wisdom. As Syekh Siti Jenar concluded, rely on Him who never fails, and you will find a heart unshaken by the storms of life. In the final chapter, we will reflect on the essence of Allah's oneness and how the teachings of Syekh Siti Jenar guide us toward a life centered on Tauhid. Let us continue this journey with hearts ready to submit to His divine will. Chapter 10. Conclusion. Returning to Allah's oneness. The journey of exploring the teachings of Syekh Siti Jenar leads us to one profound conclusion. The essence of life lies in the realization of Allah's oneness. Every teaching, reflection, and guidance he shared points to this ultimate truth, that there is no unity greater, no reliance more secure, and no love more fulfilling than that which is directed toward Allah SWT. The centrality of Tauhid. At the heart of Syekh Siti Jenar's teachings is the concept of Tauhid, the affirmation of Allah's oneness in every aspect of existence. He emphasized that the universe is a reflection of Allah's greatness, and the human heart is its mirror. Purify the heart, and you will see Allah's oneness clearly. This statement reminds us that recognizing Allah's oneness is not merely an intellectual exercise, but a spiritual journey of cleansing the heart from distractions and false attachments. Lessons learned from the journey. 1. Life as a test of faith. The challenges and trials of life are designed to test our belief in Allah's oneness. Whether through success or hardship, the believer is called to remain steadfast in faith. and avoid placing trust in worldly attachments. 2. The danger of false unity. Believing in anything as equal to or more powerful than Allah leads to disappointment. Unity can only be true and fulfilling when it is grounded in Tauhid. 3. The path to true happiness. Peace and contentment are found in aligning oneself with Allah's divine will. The pursuit of worldly desires or recognition from others only creates unrest. 4. The role of love and reliance. Loving Allah and relying solely on Him are the keys to a tranquil soul. These elements remind us of our dependence on Allah and reinforce the bond between the Creator and His creation. Returning to Allah's oneness. Syekh Siti Jenar often described the spiritual journey as a return to Allah, signifying that our ultimate destination is to be reunited with our Creator. He taught, "The soul yearns for its origin. This is why the heart is restless until it finds Allah." Returning to Allah's oneness requires repentance, tawbah, acknowledging our shortcomings and seeking Allah's forgiveness. Renewed faith, strengthening our belief in Allah's oneness through knowledge, worship, and reflection. Service to creation, demonstrating our love for Allah by serving His creation with sincerity. A final reflection. As we conclude this audiobook, let us reflect on the profound wisdom of Syekh Siti Jenar. When the heart surrenders to Allah, it sees unity in diversity, purpose in trials, and beauty in all of creation. This statement encapsulates the essence of Tauhid. It reminds us that Allah's oneness is not only a theological truth, but a transformative force that shapes our perception of life and guides our actions. A prayer for guidance. We end this journey with a heartfelt prayer. O Allah, guide our hearts to your oneness, cleanse our souls from false attachments, and grant us the strength to live as your devoted servants. Let our lives reflect your greatness, and may we return to you with hearts full of faith and love. Ameen. May the teachings of Syekh Siti Jenar inspire us to live lives centered on Allah's oneness, finding peace and fulfillment in His divine presence. End of audiobook.